So look, FM25 isn't happening for a while, and maybe like me, you're looking for a save game idea. I am. I need one for my job. Well, tomorrow, that new save game starts. Today, though, I'm going to talk about that new save game and how you can join me on the adventure, because it's a custom database in England, but I promise you it's going to be a bit of a challenge. Now, if I was to ask you to name the two clubs that have won the FA Cup 3 years in a row, you might say Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea. No, none of them have done it. Blackburn have done it. You've probably never heard of the other team because they did it back in the 1800s. Back in 1871-72, Wanderers FC, as they were known, won the FA Cup for the first of 5 times they've won it in 7 years. And yet, I'm sure if you looked at this club and I told you there was a team called Wanderers FC that existed, you probably have never heard of them. And the reason for that is they literally existed for the first 10 years, there or thereabouts, that football was played in England. And they never actually played a league game. Yes, that is right. Wanderers FC, formerly known as Forest Football Club, were founded in Leystone in 1864. And the man who founded the team and managed them, although there wasn't really managers at the time, was the bloke, Charles W. Olcott, who founded the FA Cup. And alongside his brother John Olcott, they played for the team, and in fact for Charles, he played for England back in the founding days of football. That said, Wanderers FC, within 20 years of winning their first FA Cup, no longer existed, and since then, they've remained dormant. I do have to put a small asterisk there, because there is a Wanderers FC that does exist in real life. They actually play in the 15th tier of English football. In the Surrey South Eastern Combination Division, they don't exist in Football Manager. And to be fair, this reform team that started as a charity project is now a fully established football team that have existed for over 15 years. However, in this little old universe, Wanderers FC play in the Vanarama National League. Southend, due to financial issues, have been demoted down to the Vanarama National South. This new team has sprung up in their place. They're playing out of Brisbane Road, which is Leyton Orient Stadium. That is the closest stadium to the borough of Leyston, which is where the team was founded in northeast London originally. And if you choose to take on this challenge like I will be, you will start with a group of players. These are all players who, at least a week ago when I started doing this save game, were free agents across England. Players that hadn't found clubs off the back of the end of last season. Can this band of misfits stay up? That's going to be the aim. Now, I know what you're thinking, Jack, so this is just Park to Prem, isn't it? Except just starting a bit higher up. Kind of. But the issue with Park to Prem is we kind of stomp the lower leagues, get to the Premier League, and it gets a bit samey. Here's the difference with Wanderers FC in this universe. They have a unique board culture. They can only sign English players. So ordinarily, when I get to the Premier League, you know, we start just getting South American wonder kids, the conveyor belt gets going. That's not going to be an option here. It's not going to be an option in the earlier years. I have to make the most of English footballers. And I literally can't sign anyone from abroad. And when I said you can't sign non-English players, I mean literally, the game won't let you. You can try and make a bid for a non-English player. The game's going to tell you, what are you doing? Now, to be fair, to help you a little bit with this save game, the club does come with some fairly good facilities. You can have good training and youth facilities, exceptional academy coaching and excellent youth recruitment. The hope being, of course, that you can produce a team of English players, of which hopefully a couple of them have come through your own academy. Of course, if you do want to sign a player like Wilson Carvalho here, who is Portuguese, but does also have English secondary nationality, you are allowed to make a bid for dual nationality players. I'll be honest, I wouldn't recommend signing this guy. He wants £1,300 a week, which in the context of the team you start with, will make him the second highest earning player. Now, on top of that, this database is designed to work with the Sorted Out SI data update. That's not the paid update that they're doing, but the free one that you can get by simply making an account. I'll cover that in the setup period in just a moment. So alongside having Wanderers in the National League, you can have all the latest promotions, relegations, transfers as of the 2024-25 season. Now, in terms of my plan for the save game, it will be starting tomorrow here on the channel. I'm hoping we're going to have a good first season, but I do think it's going to be tricky. Media prediction first year is 15th. In terms of the finances, there's a little bit of money to spend, but given the fact the first team is kind of on the smaller side, I think a lot of that's just going to go on adding depth, really. And like I said, if you're like me, FM25, you had plans for it. They've gone out the window. You've been looking for a new save to scratch a Football Manager itch. I think this could be quite a fun one, especially when you get to the Premier League, get a lot of money, challenging the big clubs of English football whilst only being able to sign English players is going to be really hard. Naturally, at this point, you're probably wondering, how do I play this save game? Let me show you. Now, to install this, first things first, you're going to want to go to your Football Manager Sports Interactive folder on your PC. There are 2 different Football Manager folders that exist on your PC. You need to find the one in your documents. On Windows, it'll be at C, users, your username. If you're not called Jack, probably going to be at a different spot, Football Manager. You're then going to want to copy and paste over the downloaded RAR file that is linked down below. You're then going to want to unzip it in this location. For me, using WinRAR, you can simply go to Extract here. And now, if we go to Editor Data, there will be a WTS Wanderers v4 file in there. If we go to the graphics folder, there will be a Wanderers FC graphics folder in here. This includes both a logo and an icon, the smaller one that the game uses, and on top of that, the custom kits are also included, which, if I might say so myself, they look quite nice. Also, these were that 3D kits. They're the weird-looking things of the 3D kits. You do need those. Now, on top of that, I did also mention the Sort It Out SI data update that has all the latest promotions, relegations, and transfers. To get this, just go to the webpage link down below. There'll be an update FM24 file here. Simply click download, and the download will start. You will require an account to download this. The good news for you is it's free to do, takes 2 minutes. Once you've got the latest data update downloaded, all you need to do is extract it to any folder. It doesn't really matter. We're going to put it in this Sort Out SI folder here. You're then going to navigate to the contents of this download, which is all these data update files. You need all of them. You can just hit Control A to select them all, then Control C or right click and copy to copy these files. And they are going to go in the editor data folder alongside the WTS Wanderers v4 file included in my download below. Once you've got these pasted over, you now have all the latest transfers, all the latest promotions and relegations. Worth noting, the WTS Wanderers file needs to be the last in alphabetical order due to how Football Manager loads the files in. And on top of that, I have not tested the WTS Wanderers file with anything other than the data download I'm going to link down below. It might work with some other ones. I can't guarantee it. Now, when you load up into Football Manager, if you're greeted by this badge here, that is the Bermuda Hogs logo, you are going to need to copy and paste over the downloaded logos included in my pack to overwrite the one in your existing graphics pack. The reason that you're going to have to do this is simply because of the way we have set up this database. Football Manager has some hard-coded rules for certain clubs that limit their ability to sign foreign players. Bermuda Hogs in the past were only allowed to sign Bermudan players. By moving their club to England, it basically makes the rule that we need where they can only sign English players, but it does mean that they have the same unique ID as the old club. So, for example, if you're using the TCM logo pack, which I recommend a lot, you're going to need to go to the Bermuda Club's normal folder and then replace the existing one. And then on top of that, for the icon, which is the smaller version of the Wanderers logo, you're going to need to go to Bermuda Club's small and then just paste over it here. And then once that's done, the correct logo will appear in game. If you're running a different logo pack, that location might be slightly different, but if you see that weird pig logo, that's what's going on. Anyway, once we're in game in Football Manager, you're going to want to come down to this setting here and tick clear cache and then reload skin. That is basically going to clear your old logo packs and kit packs to ensure the newly installed ones do appear in game. If for whatever reason you don't have the reload skin button at the bottom of your preferences like I do here, just search reload skin in preferences and make sure this option is ticked, reload skin, when confirming changes in preferences. So in order to get the save game up and running, all you need to do is go to Start a New Game, hit Career. From here, the database bit in the top right will appear. Assuming you've installed everything in the right location, you will now have all the editor data files, all the update files that are included with the Sort Out SI data update included. On top of that, you will have the Wanderers v4 file down at the bottom. Ignore these past versions where the save game wasn't quite working right. If you have just moved all the files to the editor data folder, they should just be ticked by default anyway. The last thing you need to do is make sure when you choose a game mode, you select original. And then once we enter the advanced setup screen, because of the game setup file that's been included, you will have a new option when you click the drop down in the bottom left. You can hit load. And then down here, there should be a Wanderers file. If we click that, this is now the exact database setup I'm using in the Let's Play starting tomorrow. And from there, you just have to hit start game, and assuming you've done everything correctly, you can now pick Wanderers to manage. Goes without saying, if you do want to load in more or less players, feel free to mess around with that game setup file that's included. It is entirely optional. From there, all you need to do is select a new manager. If you then go to England, National League, assuming you've done everything correctly, you'll be greeted by the brand new team. They'll have their free custom kits in-game, the new badge, and on top of that, that board culture I mentioned. They can only sign English players. Even if board takeovers happen, as far as you go in the future of the save game, you will only ever be able to sign English players. That's kind of the whole point in the challenge. As I mentioned earlier, the team does come already fleshed out with players. These are players that are free agents in real life for the upcoming season. And on top of that, you will have an actual set of staff, all who are real people and all who don't have clubs in real life, at least according to the Sort It Out SI data update that I used as a reference a couple of weeks ago. I will include some written instructions down below this video, so if you want to check those out and follow along, feel free to do things there. Other than that, I hope you guys are looking forward to this save game. If you want to play along with me, I think that'll be a really cool thing to do. You should get some really good young English players through your academy. Your academy is going to cost a fair amount of money to run, bear in mind. You may well have to sell players in order to continue to generate funds. And unlike some save games where you get to the Premier League and it's kind of hard to fail because of all the money you have, that restriction of only English players, I think, is going to make it the hardest part of the save game, winning the Premier League. That last step, which often in Football Manager isn't all that difficult. Hopefully you're excited for the start of a brand new series here on the channel. I'll see you tomorrow bright and early. Leave a like, come back tomorrow at midday, tell your friends, a new Park to Prem adventure is starting soon, and it's an English only edition.